Cindy Gomez is a Canadian singer, songwriter that sings in 9 languages and was previously signed to Interscope and Universal Records. In 2009, she became the first artist to release an album via a video game called Dance Fabulous to over 40 million Nikita mobile phones. In 2016, she was chosen by the most famous German football team, DC, I don't know how to say that.
FC Bayern Munich.
To sing their hymn and songs, you'd have to say that one too, for their movie and DVD in which she appears. In 2015, she starred in the celebrity edition of The Apartment, which was televised in 19 Asian countries and is currently on Netflix. She continues to write and release songs for herself and other artists and has become the avatar in a new video game, Emergency, out soon. And where she is Lady Firestorm, a famous singer in a band, and has recorded a full album for the game. Cindy is also president and co-founder of Touch Hour Inc. She's busy. A video game development currently working on PvP RVP games, 9 Lives Arena. So I'd like to introduce legendary Cindy Gomez.
Thanks, Lisa.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. Such a pleasure to have you here. I found you through one of my contacts. I think it was a lady who's been on here, but there's She-Wolves of the Film Universe on Facebook.
I love those. I love the see more women in the entertainment field and with the producer roles and the screenwriting roles. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I saw your song Legendary, and one of my friends who's also in my Toastmasters group, Sophie, she's not on, I don't think, today, but she was in your video. So
yes,
I loved your video. It was so empowering. How many views? It was like 55,000 or something, or I don't know.
I haven't looked recently, but it was a song that I wanted to write because I feel that women are legendary, period. You already are worthy. Everybody on this planet is already worthy. And that's one of the big things to me that is really important, to let people know how powerful they are. And I guess when I had written it, it was quite a while back, and I didn't actually put it out till I think 2018, but I wrote it way before. And so at the time, it was kind of even before the Me Too movement. I just wanted to let women know, hey, you can dream, you can be this, you can be that. And the video shows women there's like a surgeon that I even know, I've had her picture in there. There's real estate ladies, there's screenwriters, producers, there's pilots, there's a little bit of everything so that a young girl can look up and go, hey, I can dream and be whatever I want. It's not like the olden days where women, were not allowed to be, there was a stigma of what a woman had to be, right? So I wanted to kind of erase all those barriers.
So you actually did it before the Me Too.
Yeah, it was quite a while back too. And I guess it's something that I faced growing up, like in the music industry, and it's changing now a lot. And I think that's just because of the younger generations, and you have the older people kind of leaving the industry. So you're getting new people coming in. And I find the newer generations are a lot more open-minded. And that's what it takes to be able to embrace diversity and embrace equality, right? But when I was very young, I had tons of crazy stories where lots the discrimination for either being a female, a Latina, and all these kinds of things, that it just propelled me to write a song to say, hey, you know what, women are awesome. Doesn't matter where you're from or what you do, you already are born legendary. You just have to step into your own power and showcase who you are.
Yeah, and that song, well, it's a music video, right? So you had to do all the filming and everything. It's just so professionally done and beautiful and powerful. You're very powerful in it. You have that presence, and presence is light. Did you know that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are made of light, right? So
But I mean, if people are
shine it,
down
yeah,
and they feel like, oh, I'm not good enough,
right.
they don't have the presence. And when you're in, you have to have the presence to be in front of all these people. I mean, YouTube or whatever, but when you're in front of them like you are, because your song went very big, it you have to deal with the reflection from other people, right?
Right. You have to be ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you're transparent, you don't care about what they think.
Correct. And when I write songs, I'm not thinking about who it's going to reach. Like my intention when I create a piece, I mean, wait, let me backtrack. A long time ago, I just wrote like whatever just came, boom, 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 just write. And then it shifted throughout my life to, I want to write music with an intention. So my intention is to kind of be the voice that kind of taps on someone's soul and either asks a question or has them wonder about something. There's always a reason why I'm writing something. It's not just, okay, I want to write a piece. Every song has a particular intention behind it, that I want to share something or kind of awaken something in somebody. And so this one was really to have people question how worthy you feel inside. Like at the beginning of the video, and I used all females in it. You know, the director was Vicky Posidis, a great producer, all female crew. It was a lot of fun, and all these women that day. It was so great to film.
Yeah, and it's very heartfelt.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why you can feel that in the footage and everything, because everybody there came with that same intention. They all wanted to empower females. And I told them, listen, I want to release this on March 10th. I think that was 2018, which March 10th is the International Women's Day, which just passed recently. And I said, look, we're doing this to uplift women globally. So everyone had that intention in mind, and it really, I think, came off in the footage. And
it did. And you have little kids in it too. I mean, you have don't you have little boys too? And
I don't have little boys, just because the song was particularly for women. I think now if I were to write something new, it would be to empower everyone. Okay. but at the time, that was just specifically for females.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a female. It didn't seem like it was just girls. But
yeah. Lyrically though, I had said some stuff like now I can't even remember the song. I've been sung it in quite a bit. But you know that the whole you know, they have tried to pigeonhole women to say you're not beautiful, you got to wear all this makeup, you got to do this, a Botox, a breast lift, a butt cheek implant, or you name it, right? There's like all these things that you have to be either too thin or too fat or smart enough or this, you know, all these kinds of things that they try and pigeonhole you. And I'm like, no, forget all that. You know, just be you. It doesn't matter your size or your shape or your look or your color. You are perfect just as you are.
Yeah, that's true. But as you level up, you change.
Absolutely, 100%.
Physical literally changes. Your body, your attraction, your everything. As you get more confident,
when you realize your worth, when you realize,
that's right,
who am I?
Yeah, you change and you become like just I look better than I did 20 years ago. So it's all light. It's all the energy, but running helps. I love running.
Yes, a little workout here and there always helps, but I also feel the same way. Actually, the last 2 years, I'm like, hey, I'm kind of looking a little bit younger sometimes. Not sure why, but a lot of it has to do with the energy. And really for me, it's about aligning myself to the highest version of who I am. And that takes work.
My partner and I, he's on the other side now, Michael, and he was 18 years older than me. Harrison reminds me a little bit of him because Michael was way up there. When we would go, we would call it going up. And when our higher selves were in our bodies, we literally were taller. I could measure him on a wall and he was like 2 inches taller. I am not kidding. We did it like over and over again. It's that when your higher self's in your body fully, I mean, everybody has their higher self in their body or you'd be dead.
Of course, but it's also to an extent at which you are able to recognize it and feel it. And also you can hear the thoughts are different too.
Oh, totally. Because you're on an earth.
Very
And
right.
At the beginning of that song, you're totally in your higher self. You're like, I'm here. It's like, it's great.
I like to leave. I love to check out. When I sing, Cindy is no longer there. I know I heard Beyonce say something similar about that as well. And it's kind of you, in a way, you kind of check out so that you become a being. Like it just comes out of you. So it becomes effortless and it just flows through you. As otherwise you're, how am I looking? What am I doing? Am I doing this right? Am I dancing right? You got to get out of your mind and let it just flow through you.
Yeah, you do. And that's the trick. It's like, I couldn't have done this 2 years ago before Toastmasters and training stuff because I had a lot of don't be seen issues.
A lot of people do. I mean, I had to grow into that even as a child. I was a very shy child. I'm lucky that I had a father who would say, at the age of like 8, sing to this person, sing to that guy, sing to these people. And I'm like, ah. But it allowed me to kind of at least be able to sing. Like I can now look at you and like sing right to your eyes, right? And I don't have fear about that. But throughout my life, I've also had to, get rid of, everyone has a little bit of that, I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy enough. It's all that same thing. And it's really about embracing the core of who you are without like all the rest of it. So it's like you have to let go of, I'm a singer or I'm a dancer, or I'm a pilot or whatever you are. Once you let go of all of those things, who am I at the core? At that core, can you love that core? And when you do, everything shifts and opens up for you and you're capable of doing amazing things.
Yeah. And it's another level. It's like
100%. Yeah.
This is cool for me. And next time when I hit another level, I'll just see if I'm clear enough in it or not. Because this stuff comes up. It's like, so if you're nervous, and nervous is energy running through you. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to go like on stage, a lot of people have stage fright and they'll start feeling this nervousness. Well, if you're pretty clear, it'll feel smooth. But if you're not clear and you have, I call it, well, Abraham calls it rocks in your river. Abraham. Okay. They're like, if you have thought forms or old belief systems that get in the way, then it feels like you got big rocks in your river. The energy's trying to go through and it doesn't. So
I know that all too well. I've had many, many years of clearing, old beliefs. And, it's not there's a whole bunch of beliefs. And then when you go down to the core belief, that's the one, the core limiting beliefs. And a lot of them is the majority I find is the person doesn't love themselves enough. Because if you don't love yourself that 100%, even like if you're 1% off, you're still in a lack belief. And that lack belief causes everything from not being able to be successful, not being able to be in the right relationships, everything. Just if you don't fully have that complete self-love and awareness of who you are, then everything kind of falls away. But then again, that's work that you have to you kind of like, I've been a shrink to myself in a way for many, many years where as I'm talking or thinking, it's kind of like there's another me outside looking in and like, oh, wait a minute, like any kind of a negative thought or any fear, I use it as a gift. So for me, it's like, okay, what just popped up? Why am I feeling negative or what's going on here? Then it's like, oh, let me use that fear or that negative belief and what is it showing me? What is the core belief behind that? Because something needs to be erased and rewritten like like a computer program that we all are, right?
Totally. Yeah, reframed. And
Yeah.
the way you do that, and there's a lot of actors on here too listening, a lot of the group is actors and people like that. And it's the same with going on stage or being in a film or acting, because if you can't bring that real self, that depth, then it feels flat and
Correct.
it doesn't work. You have to bring that core of you, and you have to be real with your emotions. And if you can access them, then you're good. It's just like in your songs, you're accessing your emotions. I can't wait to hear what you're going to do next for songs to the world.
Because I've got quite a few written, and a lot of them are currently now dealing with that self-love. It's another topic that I've also had to work deeply with. So
why everybody does. And
yeah, it's a big one, right? It's a big blockage.
Well, we just came out of this time with COVID where it's sort of like everybody got deeply challenged with moving forward again. So if you thought you were clear and you're like, oh, I'm doing good, I'm going clear, and then everybody
right.
And so
what a gift though, to be able to really go introspective, because all of a sudden you can't go out and have a distraction, right? You're not allowed to be distracted by the outer world. You have to go in, you have no choice.
Yeah, that's true. And you have to find your way.
Yeah.
What I think it's really done is help people find things they always wanted to do, but they put off.
Yeah.
They put off for years because of all these other excuses. And so everybody had to soul search and move that forward into their lives and bring it out.
A lot of people switched jobs and changed, their whole intention. And I guess when you're really questioned, or like death is really put in front of you, you now realize, what is my purpose? Why, what am I here to do? Why am I living what I really want to do? Or am I just, doing what I was told to do, or what I was told was right, or what, my parents are, because again, our whole life, our whole reality is constructed on your belief set, right? So if your belief set you have adopted from your parents or through other traumatic events, it colors your entire experience. So you've got to look at, what is it that I truly believe? And if I want to either create success, or I want love, or I want what have you, what is it that's really and truly holding me back? And how do I overcome and get out of that? How do I step out of it?
And how do you even find it for some people? Even finding what you want is well, I thought I wanted that, but maybe that wasn't mine.
Right.
My mom's. And so you just keep moving forward with, wow, what do I want now? And what this has done for me too is it brings in like this, it's the way the universe works is like a rubber band. So if you have a great darkness, it pulls back on that rubber band. And so you can really shoot forward farther when you let go of the darkness, right? So if you stay in the darkness, it feels like crap. So when you let go, you shoot forward, and it's a lot easier because you've already empowered that forwardness. And a lot of us kind of like that. And so almost everybody I know that's been very high level, or that is high level, or like you, popular and successful, they had to go through a period of darkness to get there.
Oh yeah, I had lots. I had a lot of darkness. I went through a very, very tough time, and I'm still, I would say, like, if a movie has 90 minutes, I'm still like at 75 minutes. I'm not there at that. But it's a great journey. And the beauty, like you said, like that rubber band, is this contrast. That negative thing, it's not really negative, that's a contrast that helps serve you to, like, when you experience something negative, you're like, okay, no, that's not what I want. I now truly realize, I want this. It's like you date you date someone, you're like, oh no, I definitely don't want those qualities. I want something else. So then you know, okay, this is what I want in a partner, because you've maybe dated some, you've kissed a lot of frogs to get your prince. The same thing in life, and the same thing, everything is for you, right? So you can't go wrong. You can't get it wrong. So that's, at least you can rest assured in like, yeah, okay, maybe some bad things happen, but like I wrote in this new song, which I think will come out shortly, it's called Spilled Milk. I consider it like spilled milk. Whatever happens, like, oh well, I spilled some milk, but what am I going to do? Am I going to cry over the spilled milk? Am I going to clean it up and then the floor is going to be shiny again, right? So, so it's all about moving forward to that next level, because that's all we ever do is move forward. Take the bad, let it propel you to that next level, and let it shift you upwards, as opposed to, if you remain in that, like that negative emotion for too long, then it can suck you down, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people have that, where they continue, instead of spiraling up, they'll continue to go down, because yes, you feel it, you live it, but you can transmute that fear or that trauma into more positive, as opposed to bringing it down.
Yeah, and you're bringing it, what part of this whole adventure, this Visionary Entertainment Leaders Conference, is I've noticed in video games that my kids even had, like 15 years ago, 20 years, I mean, black and white. Do you know how old that one is? My aunt, like
the Pong ones were like what, 70s or so, 75.
You could play the demon. You could play one of them. You could play a bad god, or one of them you could play a good god. You could create things. I mean, they had all these games that had this duality in them, and I'm like, God, these people that are making these games really understand how the universe works, and the kids are kind of naturally there. And I wondered, I know you're creating a video game.
Yeah. So we've got a game, it's called 9 Lives Arena. And yes, and it I think all games have that, because life is like a video game. We are all these little avatars in this illusionary world that we come in like this is the perfect example, the movie Soul. Is it Disney or Pixar that released that, that movie, which
I think it's both.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, right. Disney Pixar. So to me, that's like a documentary. that's not exactly like just a kid's film. It's a lot of truth, where you come down to earth, and you have these roles that you're going to play, and certain life things that are going to happen to you. And same thing with a video game. You pop in, you're this character, you either select the melee, the magic, or the different kinds of attributes that you want your character to have. And then from there, they embark on their own little journey, their little hero's journey as well. So just like a little mini movie, but in a game, where the funny thing is, most games are like, you as the player, you're like the higher self. Controlling the little avatar, the little man, right? Which is like the focus on Earth. So the little focus is like here, Cindy on Earth is the focus, whereas my higher self is up there and is really knows everything, is writing the full script. We are one and the same, but you can still look at them separately, but it's the same thing. And same thing with the game. Games really help you kind of understand that, if you look at the analogy of it.
Oh, I love the games for that, because you literally, and we're not puppets, but
no.
But that's kind of the way the universe works. We ask for something, and source answers and says, okay, and lines up with it.
Correct.
And creates it in the future, us as that. So it doesn't just create a car for Lisa, it creates Lisa with the car.
Correct.
Right? It creates that whole reality. And so if you don't move toward it, you start feeling crappier and crappier over time. Right. And in the video game, we're literally focusing in, and I've wondered if that's how we create this whole reality, because you're literally focusing in and controlling this thing. And when you fly in a video game, it feels like you're flying if it's a good one.
And if you've ever had a VR experience, like the headsets, I remember when we first got the one like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when they had those Oculus, I was in it for so long because it was so fascinating that once I took them off, I'm like, wait a minute, what is real? I had to like look around and go, wait, was my experience in there real, or is now this real? Like I was so in there for so long, literally walking around in it, and you kind of lose sense with you, or you question what is real. And that's the beauty about gaming, is it makes you try and remember who you are.
Yeah, and there's new games where it's a Minecraft VR game where you actually create in your living room this whole, or in the yard, this whole building, and these guys are trying to attack you in space, and I like had to run into the kitchen to get away. It's very, if people haven't played some of the games, it's really merging realities.
Absolutely. I think as time goes forward, we're going to really be so connected that actually might become the reality, especially now as we're going to slowly start merging with AI. And
they're merging
very interesting.
And the movie industry is all merging with it. So, I mean, that would be a lot more fun. I think watching movies is so passive that the kids' brains are so active with playing.
Right.
That'll start getting old. People will kind of get bored with it, because it's like, if I'm going to watch a movie and it starts to get boring, I can go play a video game.
Right. And you see that moving. You know, young kids are really like, it's rare to find a young, especially a boy, that doesn't play video games. And it's just going to get more and more, but hopefully they get a little bit more, like, I guess a lot of them are based on, you know, fighting games and this kind of thing. I'm hoping that in future they'll start becoming a little bit more learning or kind of questioning in games to help awaken more as well.
Well, that's the purpose of this, is to show how you change your concept in your mind, and it changes your reality.
Yes.
And you can put yourself on a higher dimension. And the way to show that through films is, it's a little more complicated. It's not real simple, because it involves, it's show not tell. So you're not like in their head, like if you're writing a script or a story for a book, you say this person all at once they have a positive thought and they go this way. You show it in the film, and there's different ways to do it. And I think games are expert at it, but they haven't quite got it down to educating the kids that their choices are what creates the future. But they've helped me a lot. The games have helped me a lot. So yours is PC based, right?
Right, for now. And then after that, it'll turn to Xbox, PlayStation. But we're still just in closed alpha right now. So we haven't, so right now it's like a maximum of 1,000 people that can play. And then after that, we'll go into open alpha, which invites everyone. And then the beta, and long steps.
Player versus player online.
Player versus player, yeah. So you take your character and you make them like be the best warrior. That it takes place in Atlantis. So the old and kind of interesting, we created this little world where Atlantis has like something happening, and so they need to bring in the best warriors. And because they had teleportation devices and stuff, you have the Vikings come in, you know, all the different barbarians or this and that from all different time frames. They start coming in, and so you get to play whichever character you like, or you build a few different characters up to 5, and then you select which ones you want to compete against other people, so that you're like a gladiator in a way. But then you also have this little pet, I don't know if you can see him, this little oogie guy. This is a sticker. You can't really see it that much. No, but he comes in many different like like he's many different colors. Everyone has their own unique Oogie basically, and he's your little worker. He helps you, and he works for you, and it includes blockchain technology, and there's a whole bunch of interesting things. And so people love that because now blockchain is a part of the whole new, reality and the technology that's moving forward, like to even the monetary system, right, with Bitcoin and all that. So
yeah, that's interesting. And are you gonna focus on that for a couple more months and then get back to your writing, or your?
Yeah, I have. So just recently I started getting back into my whole vocal self, meaning that I've been training, because the voice is a muscle, just like, if you haven't worked out for a while, just like me, I'm also training back my muscles and working out every day again, because you go through these phases. And so now I'm back with my voice, getting it back into proper shape so that I can write and, sing a whole bunch and be able to last on stage when we'll be able to go back and, do concerts for 2 hours, for example.
Yeah, that's a long time to be on.
It is. You really got to be in physical shape, like mentally, physically, spiritually, to like be able to be on there, dance, sing your heart out, sweat your butt off, and really physically, spiritually as well, because for me, it's really important that every word is emoted. Like I want to be able for people to feel what I'm saying in every word. So it requires going, like an actor has to go in and really play that part. So every song has a different emotional feel or vibration, and you actually you live that, you become it for those whatever 3 to 5 minutes of the song, and every song has a different thing, so you're constantly shifting into these different vibratory states. It's interesting.
I always wondered about actors that played like really bad guys, and some of them it took them out. I mean, because when you really get into that energy, if you're not strong enough to pull yourself out of it, it can get you. So the idea is wait until you're strong, just like you, I'm sure. But when I first started doing sessions, psychic readings, I'd go to like a psychic fair and do 30 people, and it would take me 3 days to recover.
Yeah, all that you're feeling them.
Well, I'm feeling all their energy. I'm reading them and all their relatives that aren't there and all over the world, and it just, now I can do it just all day long. But it took me a long time to build up the stamina and be able to hold the presence. And that's the same thing when you get in front of thousands, 100,000 people looking at you.
But I gotta say though, it's like I don't know, I don't do drugs, but I would relate it to the experience of like a drug. It's like you get high when you're on stage. And that's why a lot of artists, when they get off the stage, it's kind of difficult, especially if that's, especially the really famous ones that are doing that all the time, because you are on you're on your euphoric stage, like, everything's exciting and wonderful, and people are cheering you on. You feel on top of the world. Some people aren't capable of calibrating that when you get off that stage, hey, you can go back down. Like, you got to be able to align yourself back and realize, hey, you're just a person. You're doing a job at the end of the day, right? But it's interesting.
We're not just people. We're God's kind of disguised as humans.
Yes. You can say we're all gods, but you have to be balanced, right? You have to be centered.
Yeah, and your higher self comes through more because you need it more. You're asking, and all those people, you're responding to their asking.
Right.
So more of you is present, and then you have to recalibrate to that more of you that was there. And what that does is it brings up any parts of you, like your little girl or whatever, or little boy that feels like they're not good enough.
Yeah, it's work. Like I said, all of it is work.
It's worth it though, because then you live on a higher dimension.
Yeah.
Like, then you're like, this is more you than before.
Absolutely. And as like, you're right, as you're saying, as the more and more you embody your so-called higher self, or whatever you want to call it, you then, that becomes your natural state, right? At the beginning, it's a lot of hard work where you're trying, you know, it's like such a high frequency and maybe you're not here, but eventually that frequency becomes level to, and your frequency rises to reach that. And so that becomes your natural state of being, right?
Yeah, totally. Like you're on this, and like I'm on this. Like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I would have been nervous. Now I'm like,
Right.
it's like it it's just like, okay, I can do this. I got
Right.
this. And then you go for the next level.
Absolutely. And that's just life. You're always going to evolve. What's that next level? What's the highest version of me that I can be in the now moment? It's always going to become better and better, well, unless you choose not to, which I guess that's a choice. I don't choose that, but yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody chooses that consciously.
That is a very good point. It's not a conscious choice, but that unconscious, again, going back to what we said at the beginning, the beliefs.
Yeah.
What are the beliefs that are your limiting beliefs? What are those that you're holding on to? Because it's the belief that's making you, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or what have you. There's so many negative core beliefs, and
they're not real.
They're not real. They're absolutely not real.
You know, a lot of people think that the beliefs are them.
I know.
They identify, and the ego identifies with the belief and thinks that and when you get to those core beliefs, if the ego thinks that if you let them go, you'll die.
Correct.
It's tied in with survival.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's when you get through those, I'm not going to die, and even if I am, I'm not going to go with this belief anymore.
Right.
Really go there and get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Have you thought of teaching this?
I wrote a book, actually.
Oh, you did?
I have written a book about all of these things because I've gone down that rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole. I can see it on the other side. And just because of, certain things that have happened to me, traumatic experiences that have made me awaken to who I am, right? And of course, I put it in my music, and hopefully there will add more elements to the game as well that encourages these thought questions. But I wrote a book back in 2013, and I called it Reset Your Life. It's pretty much, I'd never put it out. I still haven't put it out, and maybe one day. Yeah, I started actually editing it again last year because I wrote it mainly for me. I wanted to kind of document what I had experienced and the whys of, or how I had become the person I had become, and what were the learning lessons along the way. So it was more so for me to remember, to not forget, or to not forget, here's where I am and why is it that I'm here and what has led me on this path. So at the time, like all these kinds of things we're talking about, they were all like a knowing, like a, thoughts, like certain, okay, this is how it is, but I wasn't 100% living it fully because I still had those negative core beliefs that would pop up, and it's a constant work that you're, rewriting the new programs, because you're always going to catch yourself, oh, okay, I can still become even more unconditionally loving. There's always another way to become more unconditionally loving. So since 2013 until now, I've embodied everything that I've written, so that knowledge has become more of a wisdom where I actually practice that to a full extent, and that is my full-on life. It's not just like, oh yeah, okay, it's not about don't just think good thoughts or what have you. It's like it's become a whole practice where it's non-stop analysis of the self to become a better self and to remember.
Oh, that's great. That's totally leveling up. That's what I call leveling up. I have a program
100%
on my academy called Level Up with Lisa.
So I hope that one day I can maybe share that or some other things. We'll see.
When you go back to your book, if it feels heavy, it's not time. Like if
Right.
you're doing it and it feels heavy, either it's not time or you focused a little too much on the negative aspect.
Ah, okay.
So if you like go through, because I have that in mind too, and it's like I went through this dip, and then every time you rewrite it, you mention the dip, but you spend less time on it and more time on the expansion. Because that'll bring people.
That's what happened now.
But you don't want to pull them down into the dip either.
Right. And this, when I was I guess editing it since last year, I changed a lot of, because my thoughts around all of it changed, like just as you said. So I'm like, okay, wait, let me, I see the whole thing that happened very differently now too. I was, it was still positive at the time when I wrote it because it took a few years to get there. But then now it's a whole different story where I kind of like, I realized, well, the past is just a story. Do I really want to tell the story? It doesn't even mean anything to me anymore. Like, it's gotten me to where I am now, but I kind of dropped the story already because I'm on a different path. I'm already Cindy version, whatever, 3.0, or I've shifted into so many different new Cindys that I look back. I even look at some interviews I've given in the past. I'm like, who is that girl? It's like, I can look back and go, wow, I was very different. A lot of things are so different in me now than before. So
yeah, I had like 900 videos I did live on Periscope, Twitter, and stuff like that. Over the years, I deleted them all finally.
yeah, because
it's like, that's not where I am anymore.
Correct. But everyone has that where you're constantly evolving. So
No, they don't. Some people get stuck in the same job for 20 years or 30 years. I mean, that was what the mindset of like my parents was, or that generation. Right. You go to work for a company and you stay there till you're old, and then they take care of you. And that's externalizing your power. So, yeah.
But that's okay though, because not everybody has that trajectory in this particular, that's not their journey, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, but right? Now I think this is a great awakening, and
yes,
anything you can show people that it's okay to fail and move forward. 100%. It's okay to fail and keep going. Yeah. That and putting that positive spin in your, I think that's your gold, putting that into your songs.
Yeah, that's what I try and do. That little,
well, you did. You did it, and just keep doing it. Look at the energy of the world at the time. Tap into that and put that out there, and it'll help everybody.
I try.
Yeah, no try to.
There's another song I have called "We Love Who We Love," and that one's talking about unconditional love. It's about literally, it's a true story. It was something that somebody had sent to me that I thought, whoa. It was a family where the young boy, his name is Ryan, he was gay, but his family couldn't accept it. At the time, they didn't have that full unconditional love. They were religious, and they deemed it as like not a good thing to be gay. And so they tried to make him ungay, which is not possible. And so, to pray and to do all these things. And then unfortunately, of course, Ryan felt terrible, and he turned to drugs, because when somebody is telling you that who you are is wrong, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, my existence is wrong, basically, right? And so he couldn't deal with it. So he went to drugs. He ended up living on the street. All these, bad things happen. And then eventually years passed by, and the mom was like, oh, okay, no, I just want my son back. I don't care if he's gay. Please bring your partner home. And she completely shifted. And then the son did come back home, but his mindset hadn't shifted. It was hard for him to still deal with, a mother or parents who he didn't feel he got enough love from at the very beginning because they didn't unconditionally love him the way he was. And so that caused him to still turn back to drugs again, go back on the street. And sadly, he died from it. So I wanted to showcase that story and share that, hey, we've got to move forward and become more unconditionally loving. Again, that's the beauty, is that's happening now. That
it is.
people,
it's
it's
amazing.
amazing. I know,
How
I'm so
quickly
happy.
it's happening. It's
Yeah, I'm really happy about that. We're embracing diversity, equality, and so many things for women, for LGBTQ rights, all these amazing, and now, like, unfortunately, yes, it's really horrible that we've had to take all these traumatic events to learn from it. But again, like you said, the rubber band goes back, but then it goes forward, right? So we've had, history of humanity has been really dark at times, but it takes knowing the darkness to step into the light, right? Sometimes our dark moments and our dark beliefs push us forward.
If we escape them.
Yeah, we've got to do the work and we've got to recognize it, but it has the opportunity to propel us forward.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the kids are high level. They come in high level. Yes. And so the younger generation comes in and the older generation croaks.
They die. Let's be realistic. It's true.
It leaves behind a lot of the stuck in mud beliefs.
Right.
Except for if you're wanting to stay here and you've got the genetic history of the older stuff, you got to clear it.
Of course. Well, that's the beauty of epigenetics, right? So we all have, your beliefs and everything get passed on through, and your traumas get passed on through the children. But if those kids are awakened, they're capable of transmuting that and changing it for the whole generation, for the next.
Yeah, I had to do that. There was abuse in my childhood. So, and my mom was abused, and I think my dad was. And so there was a lot of abuse I came in to transmute, and I did. I transmuted it. And a lot of us did. We came in to transmute certain things. It's like the video game. We took on advanced level characters.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what it takes, though, is somebody to come in and say, wait a minute, no more. This needs to shift. And when you do the shift, because we're all the same energy, it changes for everybody.
Yeah, it does.
It's like the 101 monkeys, right?
Yeah.
That study where they did the monkeys on one side of the earth, they taught them something, and then monkeys on the other side just automatically started doing it because it's all the same connection.
Yeah, it's a group mind field.
Yes, it's all one consciousness. So what you fix, even for you and your family, it relates for everybody.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, this has been great, Cindy. What's your special offer? I have a link I'm going to share for people.
Yeah, I want to give away the song Legendary, and yeah.
Everything with it is picture perfect. And I love how it goes from very slick and powerful into vulnerable, and then comes back to powerful you. So it starts out with powerful you. Mm-hmm. It goes through others and regaining their power, and then it goes into, and you're all powerful. I just love that. It's
thank you. I'm glad. Thanks.
So thank you. And I've put your link a few times in the chat. Did you want to say anything else to people?
Just be yourselves, be authentically you at all times. And is this the highest perspective right now, or can I look from when you look on the top of a mountain, you look down, you see the whole thing, right? But if you're on the bottom and you're looking up, you're kind of questioning all the time. But if you kind of embody more of your higher self and you move up, you have that whole view of the mountain perspective, and it just changes everything.
Yeah, it does. Thank you, Cindy. And also follow Cindy on YouTube? Instagram.
Sure, yes. YouTube, yeah. If you go on my website, cindygomez.com, there's all those links, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. You feel free to join whatever you like.
Share her stuff because she's amazing.
Thank you, Lisa. I had so much fun, and I can't wait to hear who's next.
Next.